Good morning, everyone. On behalf of Team ITC, let me extend a warm welcome to this exclusive event, ITC Institutional Investors and Financial Analyst Day 2021. We have an exciting lineup of presentations for you today. We begin with a presentation by our Chairman and Managing Director, Mr. Sanjeev Puri, on ITC Next strategy. Then we have three business presentations by Mr. Sandeep Kaul, Divisional Chief Executive for the Cigarettes Business, by Mr. Hemant Malik for the Branded Packaged Foods Business, followed by a break for 45 minutes. We then resume with a presentation by Mr. Samir Sarpati, Divisional Chief Executive of the Personal Care Business. Thereafter, we have brief presentations in two areas that run horizontally across all our businesses and have emerged as defining trends in the new normal. One on digital, powering the ITC Next strategy by Mr. B. Sumant, Executive Director. And last but not the least, Sustainability 2.0 presentation by Mr. Nazeeb Arif, Executive Vice President and Head Corporate Communications. It is recommended that for the best experience, the presentations be seen on full screen mode. Before we kick off on the agenda before us, a few admin details. We've reserved about 50 minutes to an hour at the end for the Q&A session. You would have noticed an icon on the right side of your screen for questions. Please use this to post questions on the chat box. The chat box is already open now, and we will take questions until the end of the sustainability presentation. If you're in full screen mode, you would need to exit that briefly to post your questions to access the chat box. After the presentations are done, we will take a very short 5 to 10 minute break and reassemble for the Q&A session, where Chairman and Managing Director Mr. Puri will be joined by Mr. Rajiv Tandon, Executive Director, and Mr. Supratim Datta, Chief Financial Officer. Please note that if you do wish to use another device, you would firstly need to log off the device you're using and use the same credentials again to log on to the other device. We will appreciate your refraining from sharing any content from today's presentations on social media till the conclusion of the event. The presentations being made today will be available on the stock exchanges as well as the company's website. Without further ado, may I now invite and request Chairman and Managing Director Mr. Puri to take over for the first presentation.
So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to do a quick check. I hope I'm audible. Okay. All right. So may I at the outset first welcome all of you to the investor meet today, and I thank you for being here and participating in this event. In the next 60 minutes, I'm going to cover an overview of the ITC Next strategy. And following that, in certain specific business segments, some of my colleagues will, of course, detail out some facets a little more. There isn't time to cover every facet today. Hopefully, we will have another occasion to cover the pieces that we may not be able to cover today, given the duration of this event. You're all familiar with our portfolio, which spans agriculture, manufacturing, and services. There are essentially four segments. The largest is FMCG, which also includes our traditional business of cigarettes, where we are the market leaders. We are also a leader in the agri-business segment. We are also the leader in paperboards and packaging, and the second largest chain in hotels, but a leader in green hoteliering. Over the last 2 decades, we have been investing on multiple drivers of growth, and have tried to and I have created newer businesses where we are leaders already. And over the last 2 decades, our top line in the non-cigarette businesses have gone up by 20x. Bottom line has lagged at 18x, essentially because a large component of the growth also comes from the newer FMCG businesses, which are being built. Of course, they are seeing improved margin trajectory. So we do hope going forward that the equation will be different. And as I said, we are already leaders in our older businesses, be it cigarettes, agri, paper, and hotels, not only merely from size, but also from a profitability perspective. Of course, there is an angle of capital productivity on hotels, which I will address going forward. And in the FMCG other businesses, we have made appreciable progress. We are already the second largest player in the industry. We are also an exemplar in triple bottom line, exemplar in sustainability. We're carbon positive, the only company in the world to also be water positive and solid waste recycling positive for 16, 19, and 14 years in a row. Our livelihoods, our value chain support 6 million livelihoods. The e-Chopal empowers 4 million farmers. 41% of our total energy is from renewable sources. And we are a trailblazer in green hoteliering. We have a large bank of platinum-rated green buildings. In fact, the world's first green data center, LEED Platinum rated, is the ITC Sankhya at Bangalore. Some more recent accolades, the ITC PSPD Kovai unit, and this is important because, India is a water-stressed country, is the first factory in India and second in the world to receive the platinum certificate for AWS, which is Alliance for Water Stewardship. ITC Windsor has become the first hotel in the world with LEED Zero carbon certification. ITC Chola is the largest hotel and commercial building in the world to achieve the same distinction. And we have top-notch ESG credentials, a AA rating by MSCI ESG, much ahead of global tobacco. We are part of the Dow Jones Sustainability Index, an A- rating by CDP, but a leader as far as climate change is concerned against a global average of B, and similarly in water security. We have received global recognition for our work in sustainability. We have set exemplary governance standards. Last year, we were recognized as the best governed company by the Institute of Company Secretary. And in 2017, we were recognized with the Porter Prize for Excellence in Corporate Governance and Integration. We've consistently been in the top league in terms of PBT and PAT. The last year, one rank reduction may also be attributed to the impact that some of our businesses had on account of the disruptions. We are amongst the top 3 contributors to the exchequer over the last 10 years. Our cumulative value add is 4.1 lakh crores, out of which 71% has accrued to the exchequer. And 23% has gone to the providers of capital and 5% to employees. India certainly offers a very compelling growth story. And I'm sure all of you are already familiar with it, but a quick recap. We are going to be the fastest growing economy this year, and the expectation is next year will be the same. Our demographics are very favorable. We are a relatively young country. Even in 2050, it's going to be a reasonably good situation. And with the growth of the GDP will come prosperity, which will impact consumption. And there's huge headroom for consumption growth in India. India is a consumption-driven economy. In FMCG particularly, the per capita consumptions, the penetration levels are significantly lower, and the box at the bottom gives you the comparison with some other countries, and that really depicts the kind of potential that exists. And of course, there are an array of reforms by the government that are going to strengthen the growth momentum. Some significant ones to call out is Gati Shakti. It is also the interventions in digital, the PLI scheme, the reform in the financial sector. All this are going to lend additional strength to the economy over time. Let me now move on to our corporate strategies. We have a strategy. We have 6 pillars of our strategy. The first is our commitment to create multiple drivers of growth by marrying the market opportunities with our enterprise strength, really saying we will go in spaces where we have a right to win. And we recognize that digital and sustainability in the same context are going to be mega trends of the decade. So we are actively exploring and developing opportunities in these spaces where we have a right to play given our enterprise strengths, and I will allude to some of this as we go forward. Our growth is going to be supported broadly by 5 corporate strategies, besides the business-specific strategies, which we will cover a little later. Innovation is a theme that will run right across. Cost optimization, looking at the entire value chain with rigor, is another theme that will run right across. Sustainability 2.0 captures our ambition that is bolder. Given the global challenges, we have raised the bar. Digital, as I said, is a mega trend. So our aspiration is to be a future tech enterprise, and we will talk about what that means for us. And the most important facet of our strategy is really creating the world-class talent, the most valuable resource that is going to drive the enterprise. We create multiple drivers of growth, leveraging institutional strengths, so that we move to the market with some moats and a right to win. And a good example, just to illustrate this, is foods, where the strength in agribusiness, the strength in cuisine from hotels, the strengths of distribution, the strengths of research and development, amongst others, comes together and provides a strong platform for us to succeed in foods. Now, to manage such diversity, there needs to be an appropriate strategy of organization that will enable focus on each business, which is at a divisional level. Each division has a chief executive assisted by a team as part of the executive management committee. And the CMC, the corporate management committee, takes the role of strategic management, sets the goals, the agendas, mentors the businesses, looks at succession planning, allocates resources from a venture capitalist kind of mindset. So this structure enables each business to have undiluted focus in its segments, whilst the corporate management committee plays the role of resource allocation, mentorship, developing talent, and also enabling it and providing resources for each business to actualize its potential. And of course, the board of directors provide the strategic supervision to the company as a whole. Every enterprise, no matter how large or complex it is, needs to continue to remain nimble and consumer-centric for continued success. And therefore, in businesses that have grown large, we have set up empowered teams, and these are cross-functional teams around product market clusters, and they have end-to-end responsibility of delivering performance for that product market cluster. And they're completely empowered and enabled by our governance strategy and the common resources that ITC as an institution provides. R&D, as I said, is a very important vector to power our growth. ITC Life Sciences and Technologies Center at Bangalore is actually been rated as the top innovator in private sector in India. It is in fact got the second highest number of patents after the number one government institution. And we have a team of highly engaged and qualified scientists, 350 of them. We have global partnerships and collaborations. And we have the requisite infrastructure in terms of labs, pilot plants, process development, technologies available for us to be able to further this area. Now, the pandemic has taught us that speed is something that was unimagined in the past. The speed at which all of us, many companies, and I will give you an ITC example itself, the speed at which we innovated and brought products to the market is unparalleled. It has never happened before. So the paradigm has changed. And we were able to participate in that and launch products very quickly into the market, because in the recent past, we have invested around a few platforms that we believe are important to build our brands and build our products over time. And these are based on analysis of emerging trends. And these platforms enable agile and purposeful innovation. Speed to market crashes. That's why, for example, Savlon has so many things in its portfolio just in the pandemic year as an example. And my colleagues will talk more about it. But this is a very important investment and we will continue to do so. And I do believe that this is already yielding very good results, and I will allude to some examples as we go forward. We've raised the bar on sustainability 2.0. For example, and I'm just going to give you a couple of examples because my colleague Nazeeb is going to have a more detailed presentations later. Although we are water positive, we have raised the bar given the societal challenges, and we have said that by 2030, we will provide the society 5x of our net water consumption. Climate smart agriculture has been progressed so far in 2.5 lakh acres. We are committing to take it to 3 million acres by 2030. These are just some examples. Nazeeb will give you the complete picture on the targets and ambitions we have set, and the broad areas of our interventions will be along the lines of building green infrastructure, decarbonization, nature-based solutions, circularity, adaptation and resilience, and creating inclusive value chains. Our value chain supports 6 billion lives. Aspiration is to take it to 10 million lives by 2030. We want to be a dynamic future tech enterprise, as I said earlier. This means transformation across the entire value chain, right from marketing, operations, e-commerce, employee experience, supply chain, and it also calls for transformation of the business model. And a very important enabler of that, it's about the skills, the culture, and the way we work. All that will have to transform over a period of time. We recognize that we have started the journey at a very accelerated pace, and there are an array of initiatives which my colleague Sumant will cover later. I've just called a few of them, like DigiNext and Young Digital Innovators Lab, to provide the thought leadership and ideation for more and more interventions in future. We have 6sense, Customer Data Hub, Industry 4.0 Center of Excellence, the Digital and Analytics Center of Excellence, Connected Ecosystem, and we're also starting our journey in D2C and platforms. So this is an area which is receiving immense amount of attention, and it's being looked at in an integrated fashion across the entire value chain, and we will see a lot of investments in this as we go forward. A lot has already been achieved, and my colleagues will give you examples as we go forward. Though there are some examples here, I'm not going to get into it because it will be covered later. I also spoke about cost management, and we are looking at cost management end to end. The entire value chain is being evaluated with rigor to take out cost from each element where we can take out cost by either removing it, reducing it, or re-engineering it. And we have a comprehensive framework which all our businesses utilize, right from inputs. How do we buy agri-produce? We have algorithms like Astra that help us optimize buying. How do we deal with media mix efficiency? How do we deal with optimization of supply chain? How do we optimize our manufacturing? How do we baseline our overheads and start with zero budgeting? So there's a comprehensive framework which is used by across the company and helps us drive down cost year on year. Talent is the most important resource for any enterprise's success. And we are proud of the talent that we have got. We've got an extremely aligned, engaged, and committed talent, which comes in from the best institutes in the country. Just to call out a few data points, in our surveys, 96% of employees say they clearly see a linkage between what they are doing and ITC's goals. 95% of employees feel proud to be part of ITC. We crowdsource ideas, create forums for employee ideation. And we have got now 2,100 plus ideas, very interesting ideas for either process improvements or new business opportunities. Our leadership attrition is just 1%. 75% of our leaders are from within. That's a testimony to the robustness of our talent development processes. And of course, we want the best person for each assignment, each leadership position. So where required, we also hire the best-in-class talent from industry. And that's how 25% of people in the leadership team are actually from outside the industry. We have a high-performance culture. It starts with building contemporary capabilities. These days, for example, there's a lot of focus on digital. There is a entrepreneurial culture that we have created in the organization with a challenger mindset, with the mindset of creating newer business opportunities. And this culture is also created by the opportunities that our talent gets in building businesses from scratch. Compensation is benchmarked to industry. It is directly linked, both short and long term, with business deliverables. And in our case, of course, the variable component of the compensation is it would be higher than what is normally seen in the industry. Let me now from here move on to the business segments. There are some segments which I said which will be covered a little later. So I will give you an overview, and some segments we will not be able to do today, but hopefully we'll have another occasion to talk about. What is interesting is that India's pattern of tobacco consumption is unique. Globally, cigarettes is the dominant form. In India, it comes in many formats, like bidis, like chewing tobacco, zarda, and so on and so forth. At an aggregate level, if you look at the per capita tobacco consumption, we are 60% of the world average. But when we look at it for cigarettes, it's only 11%. So India accounts for less than 2% of the global consumption of cigarettes, while we have 18% of the population. That is because we have the lowest per capita consumption in the world. And that is why the cigarettes, which form a very small component of the total basket of tobacco consumption. It is just 8%. 92% is in other forms or in the form of illicit cigarettes. And this 8% contributes to a four-fifth of the revenues from the tobacco sector. This indicates the fact that this is disproportionately, or it experiences what we call discriminatory taxation. And in comparison to the world, the tax on a per capita GDP on purchasing price parity actually is very high in India as compared to even the developing economy. And that is what is leading to a very large illicit trade, revenue loss to the exchequer, and adverse impact on the farmers. What we do require is an equitable, pragmatic, reasonable taxation policy that does not create more unintended consequences like illicit going up or shifts to other forms. Now, this data is just to illustrate the impact that taxation has on the performance of the revenue collections. Now, in a period where taxation went up by a CAGR of 15.7%, the revenue actually went up by 4.7% only. In a period when there was stability, which is the right box, revenues actually went up by 10%. And this is simply because in periods of in periods of stability, the legal industry is able to claw back from illicit, because as people progress, as people get economically empowered, and we find that people go back to buying trusted brands. So there is a clawback, and there is also some interplay within other segments. And given that cigarettes is only 8%, the rest is 92%, a small fraction of interplay itself can provide some headroom for growth in this sector. That's what explains this kind of behavior in the industry. We are, as I said earlier, we are the market leader. We have great brands. We have world-class products, processes, state-of-the-art technology. We have unmatched distribution capability, best-in-class profitability and returns globally, despite the adverse regulatory environment. Given this context, what are the imperatives for this business? Now, as I said that, cigarettes is only 8% of the basket of tobacco consumption. Therefore, the first task for us is to maximize the potential of the cigarette industry within the tobacco basket. A small shift itself is a significant percentage for this industry. And we need to counter illicit. We need to reinforce our market standing, our market leadership. These are the objectives. And how do we do it? There are broadly 4 pillars of our strategy. My colleague Sandeep is going to exemplify it in more detail, but broadly, it's starts with our portfolio, starts with our powerful trust marks, which have been built painstakingly for decades with unmatched quality, unmatched products. And the endeavor is to to create offers, and I'm emphasizing S, for every viable segment. It's like looking at the market as an aggregation of niches. So for every viable segment, we must have offers. And we must have offers that are distinctive, that have distinctive features that create a point of difference for a consumer to stay with that rather than to opt for something like an illicit or some other category. That's why we continuously invest to build our portfolio and to premiumize our portfolio, take our premium portfolio far and wide into the country. And to enable that, we need a powerful innovation engine. We need an innovation engine that can do things at scale, that can do things at speed. And our deep category insights across seed to smoke value chain has helped us create many distinctive vectors of differentiation. We have got proprietary models, proprietary tools across the seed to smoke value chain. The third lever is to be able to capture value across the entire seed to smoke value chain. Given our expertise in the entire value chain, the investments we have made to build distinctive capabilities. For example, we are just amongst the very few, or probably the 2 in the world, that can make our own filters and capsules end to end, helping us to save a lot of cost. So these distinctive capabilities help us make in India, maximize value capture in-house, and of course, we continue to contemporize this knowledge, contemporize this value chain with the latest digital technologies. And the fourth piece is about our ability to execute, to be able to make products of unmatched quality, given the process technology, the process expertise we have, and state-of-the-art technologies, and the capacity to execute in a differentiated fashion at the last mile. So these are the pieces that we relentlessly pursue to achieve the 3 objectives that I spoke about, and Sandeep is going to expand on this when he comes in a little later. Let me move on to FMCG Others, which is our newest business. And this business has got 4 segments. Branded packaged foods being the largest. Then we've got personal care products, education and stationery, matches and agarbatti. Over the years, we have built 25 mother brands. We are probably the largest incubator of world-class Indian brands. They encompass a consumer spend as of last year of 22,000 crores. Estimates are that we have created these brands very efficiently at 1.7 times the top line, as against if we had gone the inorganic route, it would have costed us 4 to 5 times the top lines. So the growth has been fairly efficient, and we are already the second largest player in the FMCG segments from a size perspective, And our aspiration when we went in also was to create an FMCG business at scale, because we wanted to create a economic engine at scale to create a value which can materially impact ITC and its stakeholders. A quick look at the trends that guide all our thought and actions in this business. There is very clearly a move towards trusted brands, move from unbranded to branded, health, wellness, hygiene. It's certainly heightened post the pandemic, but yet there is a need for indulgence, there's a need for home conveniences, there's a need for on-the-go solutions. Natural, organic is getting more and more popular, and there is greater interest after the pandemic. Digital is a powerful trend, and given the startups and the unicorns that are coming in, the route to markets are transforming, or I would say even getting disrupted. So these are some of the key trends that guide our strategies. Now, there are a number of strategy pillars we have, but what I'm going to focus on is the thrust on ITC Next. And let me also say at this point that ITC Next is about building on the success of what we have achieved so far, bringing in newer vectors, identifying newer vectors of growth, dealing with certain challenges that we may have faced in the past, whether they are internal or external. And this is the philosophy of ITC Next across all our businesses. So with respect to FMCG, there are 7 areas that I would like to call out. One is that it's about revitalizing the portfolio and managing it actively. Second is we are recognizing inorganic. We have bulk of what we have done is been built organically. So we now want to bring in inorganic as a significant vector of growth, given that we understand this space with our experience in this over 2 decades, we understand this space well. Exports is being accelerated. I think the PLI is going to give further impetus, and my colleague Hemant will speak about it. We are actively exploring opportunities in the proximal markets. Our R&D platforms have enhanced our speed to market. Given the disruptions and transformations in the distribution channels, we are also developing our own newer routes to market while we continue to collaborate, and we will continue to collaborate and work with the entire ecosystem and our partners. And simultaneously, we are strengthening reach. The ICMLs provide structural advantages, so interventions are being made to fortify that. And digital, as I've been saying many times during this presentation, is a very important mega trend, and therefore in this business also it receives a lot of investments. Let me first start with the portfolio. Sorry, I'm going to go back because, okay. So there are 3 pieces to our portfolio strategy. One is to fortify the core, which are our large brands like Ashirwad, Sunfeast, Bingo, Classmates, Yippee, Savlon, Mangaldeep, and fortify, scale them up, and use these mega brands to straddle value-added adjacencies. A good example is Ashirwad. Besides being in value-added atta, like multigrain select, and then sugar control release and gluten-free, it has also got an organic range, not only in atta, but also pulses. It has got vermicelli. It's also into salt and spices. So the strong Ashirwad trademark is being created as a strong center of plate brand that will straddle many spaces in the staples segment. We also have ready-to-eat solutions under Ashirwad. Another good example is Savlon, which was originally essentially a soap and a hand wash brand. Today it straddles many more value-added segments. Of course, some of them are unique to the pandemic, but there are pieces that provide continued opportunity. The third piece is creating the new vectors of the growth, investing in categories of the future. And examples of these are ITC Master Chefs, Nimail, Be Natural. And there are certain categories which we are incubating, which we are validating the right to win, which we are perfecting the model. And when we are ready, we will progressively scale up. As a strategy, we are going to stake up only a certain number of categories at any point of time. Even if we are ready, we will calibrate the scale up, because each category that we scale up requires enormous attention from the enterprise. And the categories we have chosen are categories where there is huge headroom to grow. In many of them, there is a huge unbranded segments, and with people's preferences towards trusted brands, we believe that the movement to branded is going to accelerate over time, particularly as the economy progresses. So in fact, our estimate is that we have amongst the highest addressable space in the FMCG landscape, because we straddle many segments that have got huge headroom to grow on account of penetration and on account of per capita incomes. And this is a chart that illustrates this for some of our categories. I also spoke about active portfolio management. We acquired Savlon, Nemail, Sunrise because they were aligned to our strategic priorities in the FMCG space, and things that were not working, or we took a view was unlikely to meet our aspirations, like John Plair's, we have divested. Wills, we have completely shrunk, and Superior also we've largely shrunk. So we are actively churning our portfolio where things are not working out as we planned, or they are not in alignment with our strategic priorities. And our portfolio addresses all the important consumer need spaces. In hygiene, we have Savlon and Nemail, which is a natural floor cleaner. There's an array of good for you and free from you products. Some very interesting ones are the Be Natural Neutralite range of beverages, or the Sunfeast range of beverages. These have got some proprietary wellness ingredients, and the Sunfeast is a high protein shake. Similarly, we have a range of offers to deal with the consumer needs of convenience and go, to deal with the consumer needs of indulgence. We have offers in fragrances. We have a very interesting innovation on interactive innovation, which is an adjacent space that Classmates has moved into. And we are building brands with a purpose. Brands must serve a societal purpose. That's the principle, and that's how brands are being built. All of this is going to be spoken with some examples later, so I'm just glossing over it a little fast. Digital in consumer engagement is receiving tremendous investment, and we continue to amplify our reach. In the last few years, total reach has gone up by 1.2x, direct coverage by 1.4x, market coverage by 4.5 times, and stockist by 6 times. We are continuing to build in our strong partnerships in the core channels. This is the heart of distribution today, the convenience and the grocery channels. We are also making deep investments in channels of the future, be it e-commerce, be it modern trade, and we have had significant success and significant progress in these channels. We are also building newer routes to market, some strategic partnerships. For example, just to call out one is, for example, what we have got with Amway to sell a range of health beverages. We've also established a climate-controlled supply chain to deal with master chefs. And given our inherent strengths in food, even the agri-business, we're also building our food services channel. This is another channel that we have opened up in the recent past. The ICMLs provide us immense opportunity for creating structural advantages. Besides helping us to make our premium products with unmatched quality, and also helping us to keep all our IP in-house, they provide structural advantages because by delayering the nodes of the supply chain, integrated warehousing, they are located proximal to consumption markets, so lower distance to market. We are able to ship directly to customers. We are able to integrate buying, where possible, even create a integrated local agri value chain. and bring in the best practices for smart manufacturing. So we optimize manufacturing totally within our ICMLs. So these are creating structural advantages because we are building this with all these objectives in mind, and therefore structurally they are designed to give this benefit. Over the last 10 years, our FMCG businesses have multiplied by 4x. We are the second largest player in India today amongst the listed players. If I look at a shorter duration from 17 to 21, the business has scaled up from 10,500 to close to 15,000, and in the same period of time, our margins have expanded by 640 basis points. This year, we have been able to sustain our margins, and you're all aware that this year, all the players in the industry are faced with a very high degree of inflation, unprecedented. So this is a challenge we have to contend with, and we are dealing with this through internal measures of efficiencies and calibrated price increases. So far, we've been able to sustain our margins, though ideally, our aspiration was to continue this trajectory that you have seen in the past. But in such extreme events and exceptional situations of massive inflation, this does get challenging, and it's not only with us, it's an entire industry phenomena. So that is a challenge this year, but we are fairly confident that going forward, this trajectory will be sustained, and we are going to continue to improve our margins, and progressively take them to best in class for the categories that we are there in. And we also expect to continue to post growth in the top quartile with margin expansion. That will of course see our EBITDA and ROC move at a faster trajectory over time. Let me now move on to the next business, which is the agri business. It's a business where we are a market leader. We are very clearly a market leader. We are a very large player dealing with 3 million tons of commodities every year. The scale gives us efficiencies in operations. We deal with 20 crop value chains and in 22 states. And we are a pioneer of rural transformation through the ITC's eChaupal, which empowers 4 million farmers. It's the world's largest rural digital infrastructure. We're also a big player in the leaf tobacco exports, largest buyer and processor of leaf tobacco. We're the 5th largest in the world, and we're about 40% share of the Indian exports. And we have leadership here because 1, we have deep expertise. 2, we have a network for sustainable sourcing. 3, we have excellent relationships with the farmers, so we can actually work with them to produce what the consumer needs, produce the buy, so to say. Of course, this tobacco segment has been under pressure from an exports perspective on account of the trends globally. So we've got to address the growth and profitability vectors of the agri business, which have, because of this development of leaf tobacco, have not been buoyant in the past. We have got 3 transformation pillars here. Of course, this business will continue to bring in efficiencies and provide competitive advantage to ITC's businesses by providing high quality, cost competitive, safe agri produce, because we do extensive amount of crop surveys before we buy it to ensure product safety. So this advantage will continue and we will build on it. Besides that, the 3 transformation pillars are really to press the accelerator on value addition, create a future-ready portfolio of value-added products, both from the type of agri value chain we deal with, as also the value addition to the produce, which is really the processing. And again, the principle is produce the buy. So it is attribute specific and completely aligned with the customer's need. The second pillar is ITC Mars. It's a transformative business model with a very creative monetization model, which will be built on the strength of eCHOPAL 4.0. I will give you some highlights of this model, but we will look for another occasion, maybe a little later once we have launched it in the next few months, to give you some more details about it. And the third piece to bring in efficiencies at the back end is what we call next generation agriculture, backed by FPOs, digitally enabled by ITC Mars, with embedded sustainable practices. That's again also going to give us a competitive edge. You're aware that more than 100 countries this time in COP26 have signed the declaration on reducing emissions in the agriculture sector. Our sourcing for our own businesses straddles many value chains aligned to the value chains that foods operates in, and in each value chain, our agribusiness division brings in a source of competitive advantage and helps the business scale up. As I said, we are pressing the accelerator on value added. So this green square at the top right-hand corner really explains you the areas that we are focusing on. Processing and value-added products. For example, food-safe spices. For example, medicinal and aromatic plants, fruits and vegetables, organic puree, amongst others. And these are two investments. These are examples of two investments that we are making to dial up value addition. There is a spices facility coming up in Guntur, and there is a nicotine and related products plant that is coming up in Mysore. This is going to make nicotine with 99.5% purity. It's a complete line that is designed in India between our engineers and a partner, and it will meet the US and EU pharmacopoeia standards with sustainable waste disposal. And this is an area we believe has good potential given the global demand for such products. The ITC Mars builds on the ITC eCHOPAL. It's a phygital model. The physical aspects, whether it's the demonstration farms, the lead farmers, and the information highway of connecting all the players comes from the eCHOPAL. What we are building on top of that is the ITC Mars, which is meta markets for advanced agriculture and rural services. There are really three pieces to this network, which I think are better explained in this slide. First and foremost is the piece on crop advisory. As we know, there are about 1,000 or maybe more agri-tech startups in India. But for the farmer to be able to benefit from their technologies, disruptive technologies that have been discovered, the right ones have to be picked in his context, in his weather situation, in his crop, and in his geography, and integrated to give him a solution. So what our platform is going to do with the technology layer that we are bringing in, which will be plug and play with agri-tech startups, but will create a hyper-local, personalized solution, yet scalable solution at the farmer level. And then all this makes sense if he has the access to the right inputs. So there'll be an input marketplace. And then there has to be somebody to buy the produce. So this will also provide the output linkage. Of course, we ourselves are a large output player. We are already committed to it. And hopefully over time, we will get many more there. And then beyond that, beyond the pure agri space, there are other areas that we will progressively examine. Things like insurance and banking, loans are things that will come in quite fast. The others will, over time, we will evolve it. And we believe we have a right to win here for three fundamental reasons. Low customer acquisition costs, faster scale because we are a scale player in this business. We have deep relationships and credibility in the industry, and we have a creative monetization model. I will now move on to our paperboard, paper and packaging businesses. We are again here a market leader, not merely in terms of size, profitability, but also in terms of sustainability. We have best-in-class operating metrics. just like we do in agri. And we have strong sources of competitive advantage. And there are newer vectors of growth that we have articulated under ITC Next. Fundamentally, we have deep expertise in paperboard and packaging, and the fact that we are leaders in the value-added segment is a testament to this capability. And this is backed up by state-of-the-art technology. Our competitive advantage also stems from our renewable and competitive fiber value chain that is located proximal to our manufacturing center. We are a one-stop packaging solution provider. Again, because we straddle multiple elements of the value chain, we can bring in unique sources of competitive advantage and unique and innovative solutions. So we are going to continue scaling up value-added products portfolio as we have done in the past. And as part of ITC Next, I think there are two very strong areas of focus. One is on Industry 4.0 and digital. The second is on sustainable paperboard and packaging solutions. And of course, also aligning with our Sustainability 2.0 agenda. Just to give you some examples of what we have been doing, these pictures show what we have been, some of the machinery that has been put in place for making value-added paperboard and decor, another segment where there is a lot of demand in the country. The box at the right is a very interesting one. It's India's first BCTMP mill. This makes pulp typically out of softwood. We have made this pulp out of hardwood. That's where the innovation has come in. And just this investment itself brings that hundreds of crores savings on an annualized basis. And the fact that we have a renewable and competitive fiber value chain helps us really get value out of this investments that we have made. The other piece we have dialed up significantly is Industry 4.0 technologies. This is the first site, the ITC Bhadrachalam paper mill was the first site we choose for a deep dive into Industry 4.0. And that was chosen because this is the most complex and largest manufacturing system in the ITC landscape. And it has a wide array of initiatives, over 50 use cases developed, state-of-the-art digital technologies used, and this in itself has helped us expand margin by 230 basis points. And it is the learning from here that we are taking across all our businesses, and that's how all our businesses are actually making today appreciable progress on Industry 4.0. We have a center of excellence housed in this business that services all our divisions. These are some examples of sustainable packaging solutions. These are all developed in-house, but we also have some global collaborations we are working with, and we hope to bring out more such products in future. We have, for example, the biodegradable barrier boards, which is used for a range of applications, particularly in the QSR, which is a growing area. And we have recyclable boards, which are used in packaging of consumer goods. And we have the BioSeal technology and the OxyBlock technology and the antimicrobial coating. All of this were earlier using some form of poly to be able to complete it. These are all being substituted. We are finding interesting uptake not only in India but overseas, and over time we believe this will become a bigger and bigger component of our portfolio. Moving on to the hotels business. We have 110 properties. We're the second largest chain, though amongst the younger chains in the country, 75 locations. We have best-in-class profitability metrics, but there is a challenge on capital productivity, and this strategy refresh seeks to deal with it. The first pillar of the strategy is our asset right strategy, which was articulated way back in 2017. and we've been working on it, and now we are finding that it's gathering pace. We refreshed and renovated Welcome Hotels brand to position it for the asset-right strategy. More recently, we've added 2 brands, Momentos by ITC and Story, to further our journey in the asset-right strategy. And there is immense promise that we see in this space. The second was about augmenting revenues and sweating our existing assets. I think the pandemic has brought us a new revenue line. This is the takeaway cuisines. And given our strength in cuisine, I think this is an opportunity that we are pursuing with a lot of rigor. And then there are other pieces that are also being pursued. There is the ITC Club Privé, and then there is the Sleep Boutique, the first of which is opened at ITC Moria recently. We see, selling sleep is an important facet of any hotel. We have a sleep lab at the ITC Life Sciences and Technology Center. So when you go to our hotels in the room service menu, you will also find a sleep menu. So based on our research, we have developed solutions for the bed and for the ambience and for the fragrances that help you get a good night's sleep. So that's what this boutique offers to consumers. There's interesting uptake in the initial days, and we are hoping to be able to scale it up and also make it available digitally. So that will be another revenue stream for the hotels business. Digital is an area of investment from the purpose of revenue management, guest experience, guest servicing, and loyalty. And there's tremendous focus on cost. Structural interventions have been made, and these will provide sustained benefits over time and will be visible as the industry recovers. These are some of the new properties, welcome hotel properties that have come up. Today, in terms of the 5-star room inventory, they're just about 25% are from management contracts. In the next few years, this will become 43% because of the focus we have on this segment and the interest and the pipeline that we have got that gives us the confidence that this transition will certainly happen. In fact, we hope to be able to exceed it over time. These are the 2 new brands we have launched in the recent past. Under Momentos, we already have 3 properties onboarded. Under Story, we have 4 MOUs signed already. So very, very encouraging progress, though early days. I will now move on to ITC Infotech, which is a business that we have been giving additional focus and thrust in the recent past with the new leadership team. This business has made immense progress in a short period of time. Margins have moved up, EBITDA margins from 8% to about 25% in a short period of time. And we continue to progress this year as well. Revenues are up 24% and EBITDA is up 63% in the first half of this year. And we believe it's an interesting time for this business because there is disruption in the technologies. And given the technologies, the power of digital technologies to deliver business results, I think domain understanding was never as important as it is today. So the interplay of domain and technology can actually create a competitive advantage. And given that some of the verticals that ITC Infotech is into are aligned with the domains of ITC, I think there is synergy on domain expertise. And that positions ITC Infotech well. There is focus on strategic accounts, large deals, and the interplay of domain and technologies. And this, I think, offers an exciting opportunity for growth. Given the talent shortage in this industry, and that is a critical lever of success. ITC Infotech has worked with a professor at Harvard to create a unique model from work from anywhere, which has been launched, and that will hopefully help us strengthen our talent acquisition efforts. Okay, I will now move on to our financials. These are really more long-range financials. Over the last 10 years, our top line has multiplied 2.2x, bottom line by 2.4x, and PAT by 2.6x. But I would like to also draw your attention to 10 years prior to up to FY20, because some of our businesses, as you know, were impacted last year in the pandemic. So if you look at the picture from FY10 to 20, it is 2.6x, and our GSV is now 76,000 crores, PBT 3.2x at over 19,000 crores, and PAT at 15,000 crores, which is 3.7x. PAT growth CAGR is 14%. ROC has moved up. ROCE has moved up from 48 to 72. Growth has been funded largely through, it's been organic route and funded through retained earnings. A brief look at a shorter window of this year. Last year, was impacted by the lockdown and the pandemic, and our businesses, largest business like cigarettes, were impacted in the earlier parts of seriously impacted in the earlier part of the year. So sales is up 22% in the first half. PBT is up 20%, and PAT is also up 20%. So smart recovery. Over the last years, from 2012 to 21, or the last decade rather, our cumulative free cash flows have been 73,000 crores. And you would see over time, the pace of generating cash is actually increasing. And accordingly, after assessing our requirements for capital, we have been upping our payout ratios, which is the dividend payout ratio. And we have a very clear policy on it. Last year, of course, because it was an exceptional year, we paid 102%. And yeah, in recent years, which is the period from FY17, and I'm stopping at 20 because again, 21, as I said, had some impact. EPS is up by 47%. Free cash flow generation is 31,000 crores. FMCG businesses have scaled up from 10,500 to 15,000 crores. EBITDA margins have expanded by 640 basis points. And very clearly, we have a sharper capital allocation policy. We announced in 2017 the asset right strategy, and which is making progress. And dividend payout ratio has been stepped up to 80 to 85%. Just to quickly summarize, we believe the strategies that we have now articulated as part of ITC Next build upon the success we have achieved in the past, address some of the challenges and headwinds faced by some sectors. For example, the agri business, for example, the hotels business, the cigarettes business, and also identify newer vectors of growth in each one of our businesses. Whether it's paperboard through sustainable packaging, agri business through Mars or value addition, hotels through asset right, FMCG through a much stronger portfolio play and leveraging scale of our mega brands. So we have very clearly defined the additional vectors that need to come in to drive growth and to drive profitability. Investments in digital are going to help us be competitive, are going to help us drive both revenue and profitability. We are raising the bar and ambition on sustainability, captured in Sustainability 2.0. We have recognized M&A as an important vector of growth. We have recognized exports and proximal market as another important opportunity, which we are accelerating. We have redefined the strategy of organization where needed to keep it consumer-centric, nimble, and focused. And more importantly, of course, I would say, in fact, most importantly, we have a talented team, a highly engaged team, a very committed team with the spirit of being entrepreneurial to propel the organization forward. And we believe that given all these interventions that we have taken, we should see double-digit growth, or really, I would put it this way, that this makes us feel optimistic and committed to a double-digit top and bottom line growth going in the years ahead. And in summary, we have a passion for profitable growth in a way that is sustainable and inclusive. And with this, it's over to you, Karthik. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your patient listening.